Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be my Marvel, Falcon, and Winter Soldier Episode 4 video. John Walker woke up and chose violence. There are so many Easter eggs here, obviously some really big reveals, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, I'm doing videos for all the episodes, so be sure to subscribe to get everything. This is just the beginning. We're going to get Loki episodes pretty soon after this, too. Careful for spoilers if you have not seen the episode yet, because we'll be talking about everything. I'll just start at the beginning of the episode and we'll work our way through shot by shot, talking about Easter eggs as we go along. The title of the episode was The World is Watching, obviously a big reference to what happens at the end of the episode with John Walker killing that Flag Smasher with the shield. The very symbol that Flag Smasher character was talking about earlier in the episode inspired him. He was this big Captain America fanboy growing up. So he was literally killed by the thing that he looked up to as a little kid. How darkly ironic, but I think we all predicted this was the direction that Dark Captain America was going, John Walker Captain America. He was already in the process of losing it. It was just a question of when he was going to fully lose it. And I know you're all wondering, did he actually take that vial of super soldier serum already? It does seem like he did, so I'll talk about that more when we get to that part of the video. But the actual episode begins in Wakanda with a big flashback. It's actually really cool. I wasn't expecting them to literally go to Wakanda in the episode, so it was a really cool surprise. But you flash back to 6 years ago, so this is after they put him into cryo storage and they've been deprogramming him, working with him, but it's before the events of that Black Panther post-credit scene. So he's still in the process of trying to free himself from the Hydra commands. He's working with Io around this campfire out in the distance, and she's going to activate him, and it's going to be this big test as to whether or not his deprogramming has worked, if he's been able to beat it, and it turns out that he does. But that is the connection between them in the past, the history that they shared together. So obviously that brought them pretty close together. That's a pretty personal moment for Bucky there. There was the scene at the end of episode 3 when she showed up, and it looked like there was some implied history between them, like they shared some connection that went into the past. So obviously this is them just paying that off. Then we go back to present day with Io yelling at Bucky, asking him why he freed Zemo. What the hell, dude? Why'd you do this? She kind of explains why it's so personal for them. Not only did he kill King T'Chaka, she was chosen personally by T'Chaka to be part of his honor guard during the summit, so she failed at her task, and she's living with this great shame this whole time, and now Zemo's running free, so the shame is even worse. The way they explain that history, I guess King T'Chaka didn't bring the entire Dora Milaje with him to the events of Captain America's Civil War. He left some of them back in Wakanda. Like, these are just a couple of his special honor guard from amongst the many Dora Milaje. Like, later in the episode, we see the other Dora Milaje show up. I'll talk about that too, because that was probably one of my favorite scenes from the episode. But there's only a couple of them. We know there are many Dora Milaje. But this is why it's so personal for Io, why she hates Zemo so much, why she's so hardcore about this. It's not just that Zemo is number 1 on Wakanda's hit list, it's super personal for her. She winds up giving Bucky 8 hours with Zemo to try and get the Flag Smashers, then no matter what happens, whether or not they're successful, they're coming for Zemo. That basically takes them past that first big fight. Like, okay, 8 hours are up, we're here to take him. The way Zemo reacts to a lot of this too throughout the episode is pretty funny. He kind of tries to play mind games with a lot of the different characters, including Bucky, including John Walker, Captain America, even Falcon. He's a master manipulator, so of course he's going to be trying to work all the characters throughout all the episodes. But he treats it like Bucky's doing him a big favor, like they're bros. Oh, thank you for saving me from the Dora Milaje. When Falcon takes him to task about killing Nagel, the way he plays it is kind of funny too. Like, he tries to play it off like he may not have shot him when we all saw it happen. That's just the way Zemo is. He's very slimy in that way. Then when Falcon starts talking about trying to find a peaceful solution, Zemo tries to take them to task over the Flag Smashers, calling them supremacists, just like the Nazis. Like, don't look at her like she's a little girl, because she's not. He draws the comparison to the Nazis, to Avengers Age of Ultron, the destruction of Sokovia, then tries to make the comparison to the creation of the Avengers as if they're supremacists as well. And that's where Bucky steps in like, whoa, dude, there's no comparison between Nazis and the Avengers. But if you think about it, Zemo does hate the Avengers, so of course he would see them the same way that he sees all terrible people in the world. Zemo sort of sets up the stakes for the next couple of episodes, saying that she's either going to wind up killing you, or you're going to wind up killing her. It's only going to escalate from here on. Which they start to pay off at the end of the episode when John Walker, Captain America, kills the Flag Smasher. He also implies that John Walker is a supremacist just because he says the whole idea of becoming a superhuman cannot be separated from supremacist ideals. And the whole thing during the episode is that John Walker is obsessed with getting the super soldier serum. To his credit though, Zemo does admit that Steve Rogers' Captain America is the exception to his rule. Like, what about Steve Rogers? Oh, okay, there was one really good super soldier. But then argues that there has never been another person as inherently good as Steve Rogers. The way they frame the shot after this too, of Falcon, Winter Soldier, and Zemo against these windows is obviously baked with a whole lot of meaning as well, because you have these giant stained glass windows with stars. I mean, they're stars of David, but they're red, white, and blue stars, meant to evoke all this Captain America imagery with the light shining down on them. Also a bit of a subtle reference to them being Captain America in the comics. Both of them have worn the mantle of Captain America in the comics before. Then they go to that GRC camp that we saw during episode 3 where the Flag Smashers have been, where the Donya Madani character wound up dying. Zemo explains a little of his history, says that he used to come here as a child a lot to attend parties without really understanding the politics of the day. Now, in context of the episode, based on his age, he's probably talking about Cold War era politics, but I think it's also another subtle reference to classic comic book Zemo because he is running around in his classic comic book costume. That version of the character was alive during World War II. The politics of that day would have been fascism and the Nazis. Zemo's the only one who's successful at getting information, and he sort of gets it out of this little girl with the Turkish delights, like, little secret between us, don't tell these guys over here, they're bad people. His whole thing was he was trying to keep the information from them for as long as possible so they wouldn't just turn him over to the Dora Milaje when they showed up. But the really important scene that they intercut with this is the Flag Smashers watching the news coverage in that other scene of what happened in the previous episode with the bombing of that GRC center. The way the news broadcaster talks about it is incredibly polarizing. A bunch of people hate the Flag Smashers even more now, and it's caused the GRC to react by pushing through even worse legislation, worse for the refugees. But because it's polarizing people more, it's also brought way more followers to the Flag Smashers. So the violence begets more violence, polarizes more people, makes things worse, escalates things. And this is also to help set up the big twist at the end of the episode, which will continue to do that. John Walker killing the Flag Smasher, making things escalate even more, polarizing people even more. Falcon's whole thing in this episode, too, is that he's kind of trying to find a peaceful path through this. Like, this is only going to make things worse, and it all comes to pass. Everything does get worse. Falcon does sympathize with Carly and the people at the camp, and he kind of explains how things changed for the worse since the snap and the blip. How after the snap, everyone was welcome everywhere just because people were so busy trying to rebuild. And now after the blip, with everyone back, countries, the GRC, are back to their more xenophobic attitudes, leaving a ton of people homeless, jobless, just fighting for food. So the funny thing about the episode is that if you take their statements too literally out of context, it seems like they're saying that the blip was kind of a bad thing, when technically, obviously it was good, bringing all those dead people back. I think a lot of the twists of the series in general, like their fundamental stance here that they're taking with the Flag Smashers, saying how things are terrible for these people, these refugees everywhere, depends on how much you believe that that's what would really happen after the events of Avengers Endgame. It's a very cynical take on the MCU, and I think there definitely would be some countries around the world, like third world countries, which commit human rights violations on the regular anyway in the real world where things would be this bad. But in most of the world, I don't think that things would actually get this bad. Falcon calls Sharon Carter, just reminding you that she's helping them out on the sly using her satellites, tracking new Captain America, tracking the Flag Smashers. She also explains how things in Madripoor are about to erupt in war over the death of Nagel, and the Powerbroker is pissed. She refers to the Powerbroker as a he, like a male character, but that could just be misdirection. She could be withholding some information. But then we find out where the Flag Smashers have been hiding the 12 vials of Super Soldier Serum. It's in a grave for this Flag Smasher character's grandfather who fought during World War II as a resistance fighter, fighting Nazis, just like Steve Rogers' Captain America. He explains his whole backstory, how he grew up being a Captain America fanboy, what the symbol of the shield meant to him, how the world's more complicated now, people need a leader that looks like them, that understands their pain, and obviously this is all foreshadowing Falcon becoming the next Captain America, because his whole thing in the episode is understanding other people's pain. Like, he was a trauma counselor for the military for a long time. He literally says, "This is completely my wheelhouse. They are in trauma right now. I know how to talk to these people." But obviously this talk about him loving Captain America as a child is just to foreshadow the dark Captain America twist at the end of the episode. And when he says that Carly is just like Steve Rogers because she's a super soldier, like she's like a new version of Captain America, it's also a subtle reference to the female versions of Captain America in the comics. There have been a couple, like Luke Cage's daughter with Jessica Jones eventually becomes an alternate future version of Captain America. But if you guys remember, we have the Marvel What If Disney Plus series coming this year. I will be doing videos for all those episodes as well. But they're going to be doing an episode where Peggy Carter gets the Super Soldier Serum to become an alternate universe version of Captain America. In that version, instead of getting the serum, Steve Rogers winds up becoming a World War II version of Iron Man. Only because Peggy Carter is part of the British Special Forces, they wind up calling her Captain Britain, which is also a big comic book character, even though he's a different comic book character, but it's just a fun meta twist on the concept. I love the way they imply she's just walking around in broad daylight with a fanny pack full of 12 vials of super soldier serum. Then John Walker and Battlestar barge in on Bucky, Zemo, and Falcon, saying that they have to bring them in. They want to take Zemo in themselves anyway, and obviously this is just foreshadowing John Walker slowly going crazier and crazier throughout the episode. They really wanted it to be obvious where he was headed. The funny thing about this whole situation too is that even his partner Battlestar comes around on Falcon's idea, like, oh, hold on, let's let Falcon try this, let's see where it goes. He might be able to win them over. Then even though Walker winds up chaining Zemo to the boiler, immobilizing him, he winds up escaping later, just setting up the big twist with the super soldier serum. Don't worry, we'll talk about that in a second too. Zemo definitely notices how crazy Walker is going, so I'm expecting him to try and manipulate him in future episodes the same way he manipulates Bucky's PTSD to try and get him to do things. The Flag Smashers have their funeral for Donya Madani, then she has her talk with Falcon. And the funny thing about this too, like, he starts to win her over slowly, they find some common ground, but they really want her to come off like the other side of this John Walker Captain America coin. So he's sort of like this hardliner, hardcore dude who's just gonna steamroll everyone. The way Falcon kind of talks circles around her makes her seem just like the opposite side of that coin. Like she's the edgy teenager that's taking everything out of context. She's not really seeing the actual big picture, even though she thinks she is. Her violence will only beget more violence, making things worse, polarizing people even more. She claims everyone's being kicked out of their homes, but think about it this way. Way back during Spider-Man Far From Home, Aunt May said that when she got blipped back, she reappeared inside her and Peter's old apartment in Queens, and because it's 5 years later, another family had been living there the whole time, they treated it kind of as a joke during the movie, like the wife of the new family thought that she was her husband's mistress, and some of them thought that she was a ghost. But Spider-Man and Aunt May didn't turn around and kick that new family out of their old apartment. They just went and found a new home somewhere else in Queens. So like I said, the whole premise of the GRC during the series, the idea that they're funneling people into these camps and people are getting really xenophobic, it depends on how much you think this would actually happen after Avengers Endgame. And just for timeline reference, the events of Falcon and Winter Soldier, what we're seeing unfold right now, take place before the events of Spider-Man Far From Home. This is around 6 months after Avengers Endgame. Spider-Man Far From Home is closer to 8 months after Avengers Endgame. I love the way they played John Walker during this scene too while this is all unfolding. You see all those nervous tics that he has, like you just wait for him to explode. They foreshadow him taking the super soldier serum when he talks to Bucky. It must be easy for you having the super soldier serum. Like he thinks that things will be easy for him if he gets the serum, which he then later does during the episode. Then as expected, he barges in, makes a mess of things, it spirals out of control. Zemo escapes out of his cuffs, as you would expect him to, but manages to chase down Carly and destroy all the remaining super soldier serum vials, with the exception of one, which John Walker Cap notices after he knocks out Zemo with the shield. Look at how thirsty he is for that super soldier serum. Everyone post all the memes. Of course he pockets it and doesn't tell the others when they show up. He doesn't even tell his partner Battlestar. Right after this too, Carly's partner sort of reiterates the idea all the vials were destroyed because they don't know that John Walker stole that one vial. Even though they're making it seem like there is no more serum left in the world, you have to remember Thunderbolt Ross still has his Batch 6 version 2 from the Weapons Plus program. So technically there is more super soldier serum out there, and there's other potential nations like the Russians could possibly have some version of it. Then they get a text from the Powerbroker who claims they're going to kill all the Flag Smashers if they don't turn over the serum, which of course they can't now, just hyping up more conflict later with a big Powerbroker reveal. We all knew this was going to happen, it was just a question of when they were going to finally reveal the Powerbroker, which might wind up being during episode 5. But then they make their plan to separate all the characters so that they can kill the new dark Captain America. Zemo has this big conversation with Falcon about whether or not he would have taken the super soldier serum had the military offered it to him. He says no without any hesitation, and I do believe him. Even Zemo is impressed, like damn. And I think that's all in service of setting up the idea that when he eventually does take up the mantle of Captain America by the end of the series, why he would then not get the super soldier serum. I've gotten a lot of questions about this in the past, like right after they announced the series, and I'd always assumed that he wouldn't just because that's the way they played in the comics, but also that's kind of the way they've set up MCU Falcon, especially in the first episode. He literally says, "My only superpower is that I believe we can do better." So does that sound like a person who would then just turn around and juice the minute he gets his eyes on that sweet honey? Not like John Walker Captain America, licking his lips there. Love the way that Bucky also talks about John Walker as well. Something's not right with that dude. Crazy knows crazy. I know when I see it, because I'm crazy too. Then right on cue, Walker busts in, ordering them to turn Zemo over to the US military and starts a fight with Falcon, or tries to start a fight with him, going full dude bro. Like, is this a bar fight? Is this spring break? It really does seem like he's about to throw fists, until he's stopped dead in his tracks by the Dora Milaje, who roll in and proceed to humiliate him in the best possible way, just kicking the crap out of him in the span of a couple minutes. It's hilarious watching him flounder trying to fight them. He never had a chance. They've come for Zemo, so obviously he should be worried, but it seems like he's actually more excited to watch them beat the crap out of John Walker. Like, he pulls up a chair like, oh, this is gonna get good. Bucky does try to jump in, stopping Io when it seems like she's going to kill John Walker, even though I don't think that she was actually going to kill him. Love the way they pin the shield to the table, too, and he just flounders there, John Walker trying to yank it free for the next couple of minutes. Io then shows off some hardcore ninja moves to deactivate Bucky's vibranium arm, causing it to fall right off of his body. What she's doing here is just hitting some special pressure points where the vibranium arm meets his body at the joint. So obviously the Dora Milaje would have some secret moves for disabling vibranium technology. Zemo, of course, yeets out El Chapo style. Love the reference from Falcon. Didn't think he would pull an El Chapo. What he's referencing is that El Chapo used a secret tunnel to escape authorities, and Zemo basically jumped into the sewers, it looks like. The way they end the fight is hilarious too. This other Dora Milaje just yanks her vibranium spear out, releasing the shield like it's no big deal after watching John Walker struggle with it for minutes. She does the classic Captain America shield stomp move with him just sitting there all dejected and defeated like, damn. And it almost seems like she's gonna walk off with it, like they're gonna take the shield back to Wakanda with them, because technically the vibranium was stolen from Wakanda, until Io tells her to leave it and hands it back to Walker like she's giving a child back his toy, like, here you go on your way, go have some fun. When Bucky reattaches his arm, we get a better look at the technology too, how it connects to his body. He's got a special vibranium piece attached directly to his shoulder joint where the arm attaches, so you can hear it hum with energy when he activates it. When John Walker says that they weren't even super soldiers, like he's so depressed that he got his ass handed to him so badly, what he might not necessarily understand, maybe he doesn't completely know what's going on with the Dora Milaje, is that they're meant to be the most fearsome, hardcore fighters on the planet, next to groups like the Avengers, people with actual superpowers, armed with the most advanced tech on the planet and the best fighting skills. So if they wanted to, the Dora Milaje would be able to steamroll the Flag Smashers in no time flat. But obviously because they see this as a problem for the rest of the world, not a problem for Wakanda, they don't care about what Karli Morgenthau is doing. We don't see them again in the episode. You have to remember too, talking more about Black Panther, talking about the Wakanda flashbacks, Black Panther is still alive during this point in the timeline, even though Chadwick Boseman, may he rest in peace, passed away last year. Remember, this is only a couple months after Avengers Endgame. So it would have been Black Panther to send the Dora Milaje, Io, these other characters, to go take Zemo into custody and bring him back to Wakanda to face their justice. But then John Walker and Battlestar talk about taking the super soldier serum. Battlestar making a callback to the first Captain America movie, the idea that the serum only makes you more of what you already are, and them thinking more about Steve Rogers being amazing. But you also have to remember, on the same side of that coin, Red Skull was a metaphorical monster. He took the serum and it turned him into a literal-looking monster. Same thing with the Abomination during Incredible Hulk. The whole idea they're trying to foreshadow John Walker, kind of an animal, a rage monster, is slowly going to go over the edge and become even more so once he takes the serum. Karli calls Falcon's sister to bond over hating new dark Captain America, John Walker. Pretty much everybody's on board with that. I feel like that's common ground for most fans right now. Then later when they actually meet up, she reiterates the idea that they are going to kill John Walker Captain America. Sharon Carter chiming back in, reminding you that she's actually participating in the episode, tracking John Walker on her satellite, and that's obviously when things go crazy. The Flag Smashers capture Battlestar, hold him hostage while Walker searches for him. This was part of their plan to separate them so it'd be easier to kill John Walker, potentially. But here's the really important thing. When he's actually taking out this Flag Smasher, you see John Walker bend that metal pipe and the Flag Smasher says, oh crap. It's because he's realized that John Walker has probably taken the serum or has the serum. At least that's what they're implying. Like John Walker wouldn't be able to bend this giant metal pipe if he was just a normal person. But based on the rest of the way he fights in the episode, it doesn't seem like he totally has the serum, so maybe he just took it and it's taking a while for it to work its magic inside his bloodstream, like it hasn't reached 100% in his body. Remember, the new batch of serum is different from the classic Steve Rogers version because you don't need Vita rays to bombard your body to actually activate it in your bloodstream. You just inject yourself like you would give yourself any kind of shot. I did love John Walker's funny line where he's like, what's with all the knives? The whole thing with that is the stunt coordinator said that they were actually consciously trying to use fewer guns during the series, and I think part of the reason for that was so that they could do more hand-to-hand combat fight scenes just to make the fights seem more dynamic. Most of these fight scenes are all pretty fantastic. I feel like the stunt work on Falcon and Winter Soldier has been pretty good, very much inspired by the fight scenes during the Winter Soldier movie. But they get John Walker, Captain America, in a full grapple hold and they have him dead to rights. Carly launches at him with the knife to kill him, and he's only saved by Battlestar, who jumps in her path, but that's not actually what kills him, taking the knife. It's actually Carly kicking him into the stone pillar so hard that his body just folds under the impact. Then I really love the editing during this scene. The sound kind of cuts out a little bit as you take John Walker's perspective and he slowly loses it, predictably. I mean, we all knew this was going to happen eventually. He chases down Carly's friend, the other Flag Smasher, who was the Captain America fanboy, killing him with the shield in broad daylight with a whole crowd of people recording it on their phones. You have to imagine that all these people are uploading this to every single social media platform, all the footage to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and within minutes it's going to be spread all over the world. Everybody's going to see this. So quite literally, the whole world is watching. It's a little bit like Spider-Man Far From Home and the idea of Mysterio's fake video trying to dox Spider-Man and frame him for his death. Like J. Jonah Jameson posts this footage on his news website, The Daily Bugle, which is a website instead of a newspaper now. But then from there, you have to imagine that people all over the world would be re-uploading and sharing the footage all over the place. YouTube, Facebook, everywhere. But the big takeaway here heading into episode 5 is how the US military and John Walker himself are going to respond to this PR nightmare, inevitably, in how this is going to polarize more people, like they foreshadowed earlier in the episode, causing more to flock to the Flag Smashers' cause, supporting them, making things escalate even more as Zemo predicted. Also, they do need to confirm next week whether or not John Walker really did take the serum, as they kind of implied he did during this episode, in finally revealing who the Powerbroker really is. Even though that kind of seems like a C plot now, like it actually seems like the least interesting part of the episode. But everybody post all your theories in the comments below. Do you think, because of him bending this metal pipe, that John Walker has already jacked himself up with that vial of super soldier serum? And who do you think the Powerbroker is? I'll be doing another bonus video next, so just leave all your requests in the comments below or big questions you want me to include in that. While you wait for everything, everyone click here for that brand new Marvel Loki trailer and Easter eggs, and click here for all my Falcon and Winter Soldier episode videos. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys tonight.